If you can get your coffee and your last snack. Forty-five seconds. Thirty seconds. All right, good morning, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you could take a quick 30 seconds. If you have not checked in, if you can scan the QR code. I think, Monty, there's 3 questions. Okay, from what Monty said, it's going to ask for your email twice. Skip the bottom one, but I think it's just 2 or 3 questions. We'll get you checked in. You're going to get put into the league database, so that way you can keep up, and they will keep you up on all of the great things that they are doing with the county and the community. All right, everyone good? We'll move on. All right, before we get started, just a couple of reminders. Coffee, water, snacks, and all the goodies are over there. We've got the men's bathroom up here, the ladies over here to my left, your right. If you can, mute your phone and keep the side conversations to a minimum, because we want to give our presenter our full attention. And then lastly, we are filming live on Facebook. So always a good reminder, 2 things. If you know someone that has talked about it and said, gee man, I'd really like to come to one of those, it doesn't work in my schedule, tell them they can watch us live on Facebook. Also, if you take a quick second to log on to your Facebook, go into the update where it says, we're filming live, share that to your page, and that way we can continue to get our social out there and try to keep building our social presence. So we want to thank our hosts. They are out of town for the month, but we're going to thank them ourselves. Between Monty, myself, and Ray, we will thank the Mega Workplace. This is where we meet every Wednesday, and we will meet here every Wednesday for eternity. So as we'll learn more, this is where businesses are going to come, and they're going to help, with your help, grow their business and become successful. We have the SBDC. John, where are you at? John Doremus, we're the SBDC. It is a free service that they offer to help businesses organize their finances.
I don't have my high chair today. I'm sitting low. Sorry. Please stop.
We have the UCF Incubator. Again, more options and opportunities to help businesses become successful. And then we have LEAD, all within the same building, to help your businesses and the businesses in the local community, Eustis, and all of Lake County grow and become successful and bring jobs to the area and help support all of our small business. So, Raymond, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. So this is the hub for small business and business success. We want to see you here each and every week, and any other sources that we talked about, if they can help you, let us know, because they're all in the same building. We're going to connect you with them. We would like to thank our sponsors, coffee sponsors. Going forward, they've been gracious enough to be our ongoing coffee sponsor is Foxtail Coffee. I try to remind everybody this week, if you make a connection here and you want to meet later on or sometime during the week, go to a Foxtail Coffee just as a way to say thank you for them for sponsoring this. It's not quarterly, it is ongoing for as long as we have this going. So let's say, appreciate them and take some business outside of the meeting to one of their locations. And then we want to thank our third quarter, hard to believe we're in the third quarter of the year already, but we want to thank our third quarter donut and everything good over on that table. We want to thank Latona Pie with Legacy Financial Services. She is our third quarter sponsor. I hate to interrupt you in your breakfast, but stand up, let everybody know who you are. So at some point in time over the third quarter and going forward, just take an opportunity to sit down. She's an awesome person. She jumped in after 2 weeks, signed up to become an organizer. She's here every week. She jumped in, she signed up to be the donut sponsor. Just an incredible person to get to know. So take some time, have a coffee at Foxtail, and get to know Latona a little bit better. So what is 1MC, or 1 Million Cups, or like we like to refer to it as 1MC? It is a hub-based home business for entrepreneurs, and we'll go into this a little bit more. There are over 100 1 Million Cups chapters across the country. They all meet on Wednesdays. So if you're out of town, if you're going to Vegas, I think there's one in Vegas, and you want to attend, it's like, wow, this is my normal 1 Million Cups morning. Look at the 1 Million Cups in Vegas. You can attend it. It's going to be structured the same way that we do here. Little tweaks here and there based on the different chapters, but it's the same process there. And who knows, you might pick up something out west that you could bring back to your business and share with the group here. I think maybe the best thing, in my opinion, it's all free. Presenters are free. Organizers, we do this voluntarily. We get no funding from 1 Million Cups, and that's okay because it's such a great program. They have all the support that we need. The only thing that we get from them is the stuff that we're going to give away later in the meeting. But this is a volunteer and a free opportunity for everybody to come out and support the presenters. Everybody that attends that's sitting in your chairs today. You're doing this out of the goodness of your heart. And I think that's an awesome thing to do. This is how we give back to our business community. So if you're an entrepreneur or a support entrepreneurism, this is the place where you want to be each and every Wednesday. And the nice thing with it's free, if something comes up, I know we have some chamber conflicts, just don't make that meeting. Come the next week and bring a friend. All right, so what is 1MC or 1 Million Cups? It is, as it shows, presentations and not pitches. Our presenters are up here to present a challenge with their business. They are not up here to sell you something, to fundraise, to try to raise money, or support to help run their business. They are coming up with a challenge that they have in their business that they are looking for feedback from you to help overcome that challenge. At the same time, if we are here to support them, we are here to support them and not try to sell a person or a product from this side of the room to them. If you know somebody, that's great. We want to help them, but just simply tell them, it's like, hey, I know somebody that might be able to help you with that. Let's talk after the meeting. So it is which goes with the second part. It is connections and not networking. There's a lot of great networking organizations. BNI, some of our BNI members are here today. They meet generally the first Thursday of each month. They meet right here. One of the best networking organizations that there is in the country. We are here to connect. We hope connections will lead to organic business relationships down the road, but this is all about businesses supporting businesses. All right. So, got our mic people ready. Amanda, Damon, who is a first timer at the meeting today? If you're a first timer, please stand up. All right. So, and before we go to the first time introductions, I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. I know that tomorrow's the 4th, a lot of people make plans. Our presenter today was gracious enough to be willing to present regardless of the turnout. So, from all of us, we want to thank you for being here. So, what we're going to do, name and business name only.
Sure. Good morning, I'm Deb Lewis, and my business is Lewis Home and Bridal.
Thank you.
My name is Delia Squires, and my business is Tri-City Adult Daycare and Tri-City Home Care.
Thank you. All right, let's welcome them for being here for the first time. So, after our presenter and sometime before the end of the meeting, we'll give some of our goodies away. I've got my business card person, Sadie. She's going to pick at the end of the meeting. If you have not put a business card in the bucket, we will make sure that gets passed around so you have an opportunity to win some of our goodies. Basically, everything we have is up here, so it'll be your option for whatever you would like to take home. I will tell you, I think right now that's our last tumbler. Those things work great. So, who is eligible to present? Really anybody, but as we talked about earlier, 1 Million Cups is focused on newer businesses. And I know we've talked about this many, many times, and if you've been here before, you've heard this many, many times. But the success rate, we're going to go to the positive side, the success rate of newer businesses 1 to 5 years old is relatively low. Once most businesses hit 5 years and more, that's where the success rate really dramatically jumps, where they're going to be in business long term. So we want to help businesses get from that point of either a startup or a concept past that 5-year stage. So again, if you have a business idea, if you're sitting there and you're talking with a friend or a spouse and you say, I've got an idea for a business, would this be something that would make sense for this community? We want to have you up here present that idea, and you will get the feedback that you know whether it's worth pursuing or not. And it may be, and we've had a couple of those, and maybe some of the feedback might not be what you want to hear, thinking, wow, this is a great idea, but it's going to save you a lot of time and trouble from going into something that may not work. And you've got some of the smartest minds in Lake County attending each week, you're going to get some great feedback. And they may say, you know what, that's one of the best ideas that we've had a couple that we've heard in a long time. I think it's something to run with. Again, we talked about the newer businesses, 1 to 5 years old. This is where, they're going to have the struggles. And it's what we like to refer to as the what keeps them up at night challenge. So if you're a newer business, when you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and you start running your business, through your mind, and it's like that 1 or 2 challenges is going to continually come up. It's like, how do I overcome it? How do I overcome this? This is where we want you to present that challenge and get some feedback to help overcome that. And then we don't want to forget about our long-term businesses because, again, business expansion and growth is how we put jobs and we create jobs and we build the economy. The country is built on small businesses, not the mega companies. Small businesses is what runs the economy for the country. So we want to help you grow too. And I know Ray has a ton of knowledge in this, but helping businesses grow and expand can be a huge challenge. And I think sometimes if it's not done the right way, the existing business will struggle. So we want you here to say, I want to grow my business, I want to expand my business. What's the right path to do it? So we want to help you grow and add on to your business going forward. So, how do you stay connected? Up on the board. We've got any number of ways. I think we're linked to almost every social media. We have our website, which is Lake County /Eustis 1 Million Cups. We have Lead. You can connect with them. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Twitter. It's all there. Everything that you need to stay connected with us and what we have going on is available to you. So, to get started, everybody write down their mics. David, you got your mic? We're going to start with a question today. It's going to try to help get everybody involved and get ready for our response question after our presenter. So, could you share an example of a recent business decision you made that led to positive results for your company? Right behind you.
Getting involved with Fast Track, the program that Lee actually put on, was a positive result because it led up to 1 million cups.
Anyone else?
Presenting at 1 million cups was a great decision. I got some business from that and a lot of good feedback.
He's our winner today, so. But we still want to hear from everybody else.
Check his hat too. He took your suggestions. So he looks busy.
Yeah. See, this is what we do up here. Come on, somebody else has to have a recent success story. Delaney.
So this is one that I actually didn't care for, to be very honest with you. But my decision to kind of scale back on all the things that I was involved in, which is a ton of them, and it's something that I really enjoy, I needed to scale back to be able to, slow down to speed up, I guess is the best way to say that.
No, and sometimes, we talked about that. Sometimes a decision like that to pull out of a few things allows you the time to focus on other things and put more emphasis on those businesses. Officer Coe.
Just in reference to that, we have a saying that we have with some of the training that we do: slow is fast, or slow is smooth, smooth is fast. So just because you're going 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you're necessarily doing it right, and you may have to backtrack and go over it again. So that's a motto one of the mottos that we have. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah, no, and that's a great reminder. I think sometimes if we want to get involved in too much stuff, we spread ourselves so thin that we're not focusing primarily on anything, we're focusing a little bit on everything. We'll do Greg and one more, so Greg and John.
Greg Sizer with Bright Realty Connection. I do commercial and residential transactions. This doesn't pertain as of this moment, but what I have done in the last couple of years, knowing my business, is I knew that interest rates were going to change in 2022. So I totally shifted my marketing dollars a different way. What I did was I stopped buying leads and stuff like that, and really started utilizing that to do a lot of networking and everything. Because my business is based on doing stuff now, but it doesn't show the fruitions of that until later on in the future. But what I'm saying to you folks is that whatever industry you're in, from a business aspect of it, really follow what's going on in the business world, the capital markets and things like that, because that's what affects every business. And in regards to whatever product or service you're offering, you're going to see, like retail right now, there's a lot of people don't have a discretionary income, so they're spending less. So that's where you got to pivot and just do things in your business to you stay afloat and last a long time and go through the ebbs and flows. But that's one of the best advice I can give you is to really assess what's going on in your business and pivot and be prepared for it.
That's why he's an organizer. John Doremus.
I can't tell you about my business, but I can tell you that I've seen 110 clients over the last 6 months, and probably the single best decision they made was to get on top of their financials and get a system that gives them the information that they can timely make decisions about moving it ahead. And the most important piece of that is the balance sheet.
All right, thank you everyone, and we are going to get ready for our presenter today. So the format, today we're going to do a presentation of roughly 6-ish minutes. We're not going to cut you off at 6 minutes because we want to get your whole story and your ask in. But the way that we get the most feedback and the most, for the time spent here is to try to keep that right at 6 minutes. If you go 10, you're going to lose a little bit of feedback time. But again, we want you to get your story across and we want you to get your ask out. And then we're going to do about 25 minutes of feedback from everybody attending to help answer those questions. So we want to introduce our presenter today and a couple things before we start. One, let's thank Jason, who is a veteran that allows us to do this on Independence, the day before Independence Day. So Jason, thank you for your service. And not to single anybody else out, but any other veteran, we thank you. We appreciate your service for being able to do this again the day before Independence Day. So with that, Jason was nice enough to say, you know what, I'll present next week. If we have 10, we have 10. If we have 40, we have 40. So let's welcome Jason Neverett. He is with a Better Life Endeavor, and we're going to get his reality queued up. All right, he is ready to go.
All right.
That's it.
Oh, mine. All right, let's get this set up. All right. Thank you. How's this work? Can you guys hear me up from here?
Yes.
If I move a little bit, we good? Back to here, so I got to be right here. Okay. Thank you, Margaret, for providing this, because you'll see a picture here shortly on, it's a little bit of a challenge for me to hold a microphone or even a marker. Some of the work I do over a period of time, I end up dropping it. We won't go long into that story, but you'll see here in a picture. Let's jump right into it. It's tough to get this into 6 minutes, but I really mean this when I say I value the feedback that I see in this room every single week. Once these questions kick off and a few people start responding to the question, there's this organic energy and this thinking that kicks in that has value for everyone, especially if you raise your awareness and start grabbing what people are saying. When I first came here, I used to sit in the back with John, and then somebody slipped me a note and said, don't sit with John anymore, you guys are misbehaving. So I moved over here, and spent a couple weeks over here, and then sat by Tom and got the same note. So you'll see me moving around the room, but in all honesty, guys, I have this little book with me because as you guys give feedback, a word pops into my mind and I write it down. Sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's just a word. And I digest that in my thinking throughout the week, and it has value. This organization that has set this up to present questions, not pitching, is very unique. It's tough to pitch, right? You're under a lot of pressure to pitch. But I'm going to give you 2 questions that I know in this room you're going to give me feedback that's going to be meaningful, and you'll pick up some feedback from some other people that are going to be meaningful. Question number 1. I got to look this way. Okay. Goes right along the thought process of 1,000,000 cups. How do we move through the process of effective communication into meaningful connections that can potentially lead to collaboration? Okay, now look at those 3 C's and start to think into this. Communicate, connect, collaborate. Okay, and you don't have to think necessarily that collaboration has to be in a business format. Maybe you collaborate and you begin a relationship that goes on a journey that becomes very meaningful and very purposeful, and it helps build you out as a person. Maybe it does lead to business. Maybe you get up here and you do a presentation, you meet with somebody a week or 2 down the road, you drink some coffee, and then you're collaborating on an idea. That happened with Green and Romero, sitting right in the back over there. Okay, we actually met at Young Professionals, re-met here, met off-site at Foxtails. We've drank a lot of Foxtails in the last month, right? And we begin formulating a collaboration, business to business, on how to serve a client. Within that process, I'm going to say this, if we don't land that client, we've already won because of this collaboration between us. I'm a better person, my business has grown because of my relationship with him, okay? Another example before I go to the second question, start thinking into communication, connect, collaborate. So maybe you're very good at connecting with people, but now you're working that point where you can introduce a potential collaboration. Maybe you're very good at communicating, and you're beginning to work the details of how now to make that into a very authentic, organic connection. Okay? There's different things involved there, so I'd like to hear what you've experienced, what you've learned about those 3 C's. Okay, actually that comes right out of John Maxwell's book. Great book. If you like to read, pick it up. The name of the book is Everyone Communicates, But Few Connect. Okay? He claims in there, in a chapter, he goes deep into the power of connection is through a story, not the details. Okay? There's many of you that I've talked with in here over the last 4 months that I have a connection with because of your journey. Right? So just think about that. Maybe connection is not in pitching, but within the story of your journey and what you've learned. That's why the feedback is so great, and we'll get to it very quickly. Okay, question number 2 comes out of a book by John Maxwell called Leadership. Okay, I had a great conversation about this morning. He didn't know this was coming. Okay, in that book, he presents the thought of, as a business owner, whether you're the leader of 1 or you have 100 in your organization, doesn't matter. Maybe it's you and your wife sitting across the dinner table and you're talking about business and what's coming up. In this book, he presents the thought, as a leader, how do you know when you're thinking, okay, is telling you it's time to pivot, it's time to shift, it's time to look forward, be forward thinking, so that if a challenge, an obstacle, adversity, whatever word you want to assign to it, begins to come into your awareness and arrive at your doorstep, you're not reacting. So the thought there could go, do leaders react or do they respond? Is your thinking forward for your organization, for the group you're trying to build, for the volunteer work you do, for the business you're trying to develop? Are you forward thinking enough to see what's on the horizon that's going to require you to pivot in your business? Okay? That's just 2 thoughts right there. You be working those. When you give your feedback, you can pick one or the other. Maybe if there's time, you can share a thought on each. Be brief, be right to the point. That helps me, and it helps everybody in the room grab the value of what you're sharing. What I've noticed is as people give their feedback in the room, the more intentional and direct and right to the point it is, it just creates this energy where there's a lot of value exchange, and I think we can pick up on that. Okay, here we go. Let's see if it's going to work. Right here, yes. This way. Thank you. Thank you. You came through for me again. Okay. And thanks, Monty, for all your help this week. Okay, so in the book, everyone communicates, but few connect. He brings out the point, connectors connect on common ground. I chose these two pictures for specific reasons, okay? And this will lead into a little bit about what my business is, all right? Improving yourself is the first step in improving anything else. How do we improve ourselves? We raise our awareness and we begin a journey of growth. Whether that growth is individual, your own personal growth and development, whether it's growing yourself as a leader, whether you lead one or you lead many, whether you're growing an organization, or maybe you're in a leadership position where you have team members directly reporting to you, right? The point of this slide is you connect on common ground. You can create influence and impact in people's life by connecting on common ground. That picture is about 150 miles, the one with the pickup truck, off the border of Iran, okay? And I was working for a company that gave me a specific task to accomplish. And here's the point I want to make that goes back to the questions on the 3 C's. I was in somebody else's country, eating their food, dressing the way they do, working in an environment that I had no common ground in, okay? My mentor in that environment specifically said this to me when he hired me. He said, you're not going there to have them think like you. You're not going there to tell them they got to be a Western. We're not hiring you to go there and tell them to change their belief system. You're going there to find common ground to show them how if they collaborate with you, it's going to better their life within their culture and within their environment. I think sometimes we put a lot of emphasis on having ourselves want to change someone to our way of thinking. So when I meet someone in here, and I meet Alan, and we said hello, and we talk a little bit, and we have a coffee, and we meet somewhere else at another event, and I learn Alan's story, it has to be about Alan. If I'm going to connect with Alan, it has to be about Alan, right? I have to learn about him and see if there's a way that we can connect and collaborate on a future endeavor, okay? Next picture, if you would. Just go ahead and hit it for me. Okay, who am I? Told you a little bit about what I do, right? I do leadership development, I do team building training workshops, I do DISC performance workshops on identifying personality traits, keynote speaking. All of that in my business leads to an end result of a coaching situation, okay? Where I coach with entrepreneurs and business owners. I may coach an individual on personal growth and development, whatever that category falls in. But what I want to share on that picture right there is the words up top that says harvest the good, right? You're not always going to have the same agreement or the same mindset with somebody, but that does not mean you can't move forward and collaborate in order to get a task done, okay? Those gentlemen you see right there, the guy that I have my hand on his shoulder is why I can't hold a microphone for a long period of time, but that's a story for another day. So those two gentlemen went everywhere with me on that job in Afghanistan, okay? And I'm going to stand here and tell you I had nothing in common with them when I met them other than we were human beings breathing air. And we had to cross that bridge of developing common ground in order to complete a task. And the thought out of John Maxwell's book, Leadership, that I want to share with you that leads into the second question is you cannot be the same, think the same, and act the same if you hope to be successful in a world that does not remain the same. So go back to my second question. You can go back to the questions, okay? The second question says, as a leader, how do you identify? How do you create the thinking so you're forward looking at the horizon to see what's going to require you to pivot in your thinking, maybe make a leadership in what you're doing in order to handle the challenge or adversity that's coming? Two things, and then open it up to some people asking questions. One is, embrace the thought that within every adversity, there's an equal or greater opportunity if you can raise your awareness and see it. I would share with you where we're at now, this holiday weekend, and thank you for your kind words, Jim, that our nation is going to be facing a lot of challenges. A lot of things are pivoting and becoming very different than what we've become accustomed to. How is that going to affect your business? Even if it doesn't hit you directly, does it affect something else that you connect in with your business? Leaders are forward thinking, saying, I see what's on the horizon and I need to pivot. Share with me how you've done that. Go back to the first question, communicate, connect, collaborate. Where do you see that you've been successful? Where do you see that you said, I've changed this and this was the result on those 3 C's? That would help me out tremendously. Thanks.
All right, thank you. So, thoughts for Jason on his 2 questions. Monty.
First question, I've got asking questions, which you've already mentioned, so I think a way to connect and help each other would be to learn the depth of their experience, their resources, and their knowledge and networks for you to be able to help each other and those nearest to you. Second question answered in measuring KPIs through feedback from those you serve for efficacy, and then internal KPIs for efficiencies. So it's usually the person at the top that understands the internal and external influences on your business, not necessarily the people working in the business. You kind of get caught up in only the internal influences, so understand the influences on your target market and also the influences on the service you provide through feedback from your clientele and from how successful you've been in providing those services.
Thank you. Before you hand the mic off, if I'm hearing you correctly on the first stuff, so you connect better by being a good listener than a talker.
Truly.
Okay. Thank you.
Jeremy.
Good morning. I always say utilize sympathy and empathy and know the difference. So you have to understand when you can see it from their perspective, and you also understand when you can feel it from their perspective. And you can connect with people much better that way. Can you hear me?
That's 100% better. I'm on the AC and I don't hear well anyways.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I always talk about sympathy and empathy.
Okay.
And understanding when you utilize them either or both. You have to understand when you're seeing it from their perspective, like if you put yourself actually in their shoes, and then also you have to understand what they're feeling from their perspective. You can understand both, you can collaborate with anyone.
Thank you.
All right, so I've got a couple of thoughts. And it really goes back, because I think the presentation goes back to what Greg said. A lot of us, we need to be forward-thinking about where the business has been. Do you find that in those situations, is there 1 or 2 common factors or common denominators that people are not seeing to adjust their business moving forward based on where the economy is going? Greg and I are both in real estate business in some form. We knew interest rates were going to change. We had to adjust our business model. So is there something common that you're seeing with businesses that you work with that they're not seeing?
Excellent question. I should have had you write my questions. Yes, let me start it by saying this. So I have a very humbling experience when I get to sit down with people who own businesses, or maybe they are their business, they're like a licensee and they're doing real estate or mortgages or insurance, so it's pretty much just them, okay? But here's what I found working with entrepreneurs who have weathered the storm, who lean in when those challenges come. They identify whether the challenge is external or internal, okay? And a lot of times the external challenge is because how we're viewing something internally, which means we have to go back to the thinking process. Another way of answering that, and that's a great question, and this is just what I've gathered. I'm not saying it's a sum total of all, okay? Because I write down everything in my coaching experience. I learn as much as I give. I have learned that people who sustain the business building process and have longevity with that do not bury themselves in a language that keeps them stuck at a place of limitation. So they quickly identify internal, external, and they lean into both, okay? What was the other part of that? Or was,
I think it's just
okay.
common denominator.
Okay, common denominator. Right.
So I'm gonna pivot to that and ask everybody here, because, you know, we have just a whole range of different businesses, and I know that a lot of people, and the reason we don't advertise who our speaker is because somebody might think, well, you know, I'm in this business, I'm not gonna have a relation. It's not about the business you're in, it's the situations that you come across as business owners. That's why we don't advertise, because Jason may run into an issue that you're totally unrelated in that business, but you run into similar situations. My question to everybody here, I think that's a huge problem, is people don't foreshadow and foresee what is coming. How does he reach those people to let them know, look, you've got to pivot your business so he can know where to go to help find the people to help keep them from seeing their business fall back and or possibly even close because they weren't adjusting based on what the market is. Because I think it's a big challenge, and I think a lot of people, they just try to fight through it without the help of a coach. So any thoughts on how to contact those types of people? You know, I don't know, Facebook groups, thoughts?
I think that a way that you can reach people is maybe, because listen here, I never knew that's what you did, listening to you today, right? Being a business owner and not having the ability to, as Jim say, forecast, but maybe if you started doing some type of Facebook Lives and things like that, and inviting people to hear what you actually have to offer can actually get you to those people. So Facebook Lives, YouTube channel.
You know, as a business owner, I think the two key words I would advise everybody to look at is intention first and conviction next. Because it doesn't matter if it's a product or service, you're gonna have competition unless it's a very unique product that you really put a lot of intention into, to where you're gonna come to market with that you have no competition in. Otherwise, most of us are competing with others. So, and then, you know, we hear in all the businesses that it's not the product or service, it's you. They're the relationship and everything. And one of the big things that I've learned over the years is that find something that you're very, very passionate about and stick with it, and then assess it and really, really commit to it and have intention and that conviction. Because rule of thumb in the business world, if you're gonna have a business, you have to, whether it's just one of these rules that they have, it's a 5-year plan. And if you're not going to do that, maybe you're wasting all that time. So just know that's a par, that it's a 5-year. But then on top of it, with business is all about, not to be mean, but it's generating profits and everything. And if your intention is not to sell it for a multiple in the future, then it's really not a business. You're basically doing it as a hobby or supporting your family. But a true business is you need to have that mentality and thinking process that you're going to sell it in the future for a multiple, or sell to somebody and then stay on with them. But that's the first thing that you should really consider.
Yeah, Jason, I think it really depends on what your target market is, obviously, but I would look for people that are in transition. So either in their personal life or their professional life, anybody that's in transition, whether they're going from a second stage to a third stage business, etc. Also, you might also want to look for folks that are nearing retirement or nearing retirement from their current gig, whatever that might be, and looking at that leadership transition. As you probably know, the leadership transitions within companies, especially family companies, is often very messy and very chaotic. And with your question asking and your guidance, it can be a lot easier for them. So you might want to look at those types of areas for potential clients.
Thank you. And each of you made a point, just give me 1 second, I'll be right with you, that I want to speak into because it might create some more questions. So I have a business coach, and I am on a specific path, very intentional on how I'm building out my business, okay? And how I add clients to that. And right now, in this space and time, it doesn't take the face, or it doesn't take the space of being website driven or social media driven. I'm not going to unpack all that, but by design, okay, not default, intentionally, I'm in a space where as I build out my business, it really comes through referrals or events that I do on my own. There is a time and place on my horizon as a business where other venues will be incorporated into my business, but as I work with my coach, that is not now. It's not a bad thing, okay, but it's a specific thing on what I have to develop out as a person before I enter that space. Go ahead.
The ladies and Michelle.
All right. So the couple things that I was thinking of as I was sitting here listening to you is that we've all heard this, but it's worth saying again, and that's people don't care how much you know until they know that you care, right? And so I know that you sit back here and you soak it all in, but to Latona's point, half the people in here probably didn't even know what you did, what your business was. I have found that the feel, felt, found method works really well in literally every business that I have done, so I don't think that it's beyond your business as well, which is I know how you feel, I felt the same way, expound in whatever business you're in. And what I have found is, and that kind of bridges them, it takes them from where they are to where they want to go, so now they have a vision of where they're not yet, but you have been there. And so now it's worth listening to. And then, of course, people buy you before they buy your business. And you are an awesome person. I love talking to you every single time I do. And so I'm not sure what type of things you do outside. I know you don't do social media, but what are these conferences or whatever that you were referring to?
So 2 things. One, I'd like to address the point you made that I just grabbed a lot of value out of. So feel, felt, and found. Have you identified, because I have, but have you identified that's a way when you're communicating with someone builds the bridge to connect with them versus just, hey, this is me, this is you, here's my card. Nothing wrong with that, and then you move on and you go about your room. But when you get to that elevation or that point where you can say feel, felt, found and work that in, which is usually in the form of a story, you're crossing that bridge into making a meaningful connection. I appreciate that feedback. So again, back to where we are in society with social media has its place, very important. Websites need to be designed and built. Specific information needs to be on those websites, okay? I have all of that in play, but it will not be executed until a future date by design, by intention with my business coach. You may be saying, wow, he's just missing the mark because not enough people are seeing what we're seeing today. Thank you for that comment, I appreciate it. But you understand what I'm saying? So because I work with a business coach, I'm intentionally on a course of action, forward-looking, to see how I'm going to handle things as I need to pivot. And there will be a place for that. And there's a needed space for me to be in there, but it's not right now. So mostly what I do is connect with people in an event like this because I'm not under a pressure to make it happen today, okay? I end up meeting a guy like Romero weeks ago who now are on the verge of collaborating with a client that owns 5 businesses. He brought that client to me because we drank coffee here. And he said, hey, you have expertise in this space, I have expertise in this space, let's talk what it would look like if we serve this client together, okay? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with like Google Ads. You and I were talking about that earlier, about me doing a video and putting on a website. But that right there has generated more immediate and potential business than other things I tried in the past. It's intentionality. That's a great word. Another great book by John Maxwell, Intentional Living. So my coach said, we're on an intentional path. This is how we're working it. Get out there, execute here, and when we need to drop here, we will. Go ahead, John. Sorry.
So I would change one word in your second question.
Yes.
How do we as business leaders, because a lot of people are leaders but they're poor business people, know when it's time to shift or pivot? I would say two things. Number one, when you're the most successful. And number two, all the time. Because the successful business person is always thinking about, what's my SWOT analysis for the week? Where are my strengths, my weaknesses, my opportunities, and my threats? And they work at the threats and the opportunities so that they can reinvent themselves. Years ago, there was a chart in a business management that looked like a left-handed L. There's a little red line in the middle. You got to reinvent yourself when you're most successful so that you can continue to grow.
Continue to grow.
Michelle.
Thank you.
I know this struggle very well because I lived in this struggle until I felt like a failure. And when I felt like I was failing, my cert, I didn't know about coaches. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know until I searched. How do I sell my business? How do I become more successful? So maybe you're looking for people who are struggling based on how they're searching, those search words, those SEO elements.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you.
So what's your number one challenge with finding your clients?
That's a good question. I don't feel like I'm in a space right now where I have that challenge. Just because of how I'm intentionally building out my client base through referral. If I needed to get myself out there to just try to hit numbers of clients, there's methods that can do that. We all know what those are. I'm most effective working with a client when it comes referred by a client. Okay, so if I've been in the coaching space, which is very unique, guys. Coaching is not mentoring. Coaching is not keynote speaking. Coaching is not leadership team building. I do those things, but that's all determined during a discovery. If I sit down with Pete and we do an intake session, and it's best that we step off working with his people in a leadership development program for 10 weeks. Okay, we're going to build and break down leaders and identify leaders. If I step off with Pete and during the intention session, it looks like we're going to move into the coaching lane. That is very unique. I can do each of those disciplines, okay? But most of it leads back to coaching. Most of it will lead in the journey somewhere down the road back to the coaching process, which is very unique. It's probably not what you think it is until you've gone through it, okay? It can be business coaching. It can be personal development and growth coaching. It can be any category you want to place in the coaching. And people are not in a place of struggle when they bring on a coach for a period of time. They just may be at a place where they want to level up. They're liking their performance and they need to level up. Let me give you this thought, and I don't want to go too long, but let me give you this thought. And if I had a marker board, it would take me 10 seconds to draw it. Okay, but just think of the words that I'm telling you. We're going to place them somewhere. So you have thinking stuff, right? However you approach the divine, however you approach your spiritual life, however you live out your religious beliefs, okay, that's great, and everybody needs to express that, how they do that uniquely and differently. You have thinking stuff that connects with the divine. That thinking stuff creates a belief. Now, you're either going to create a belief or you're going to let somebody else give you a belief, okay? I'm not even saying that's wrong, but you create a belief system. That belief system creates a behavior. Belief always creates behavior. Behavior always precedes results. What we do most of the time, we find a place where we don't like our results, right? So we're unhappy with our results. So we go heavy on behavior modification. I'll just behave better. I'll incorporate this. I'll do more push-ups. Well, whatever the category is, right? We go into behavior modification. What I learned by having a coach in different lanes of my life that took me from a battlefield to being able to stand up in front of people required a lot of change, required a lot of pivot. I had to reschool a lot of talent that was being used for chaos and confusion and death into building people, right? But I leaned into the journey, okay? But I had to rebuild some belief systems. I had to say, why do I have this belief? Why do I hang on to it? This belief isn't serving me getting where I want to go. Just because Grandpa said, or just because this organization says, you lean into the belief system in order to change the behavior, in order to change the result. You can think into that during the week and see what you can pull out of that. Beliefs always precede behavior. Behavior always precedes your results.
So if you've got a business coach, my assumption is that you have a business plan.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as a basic measure, you should be shifting according to the targets on your business plan.
Yes.
Okay. And so if that is the case, I have a curious question, and that is, what is the dollar figure, number figure, and you don't have to share the exact dollar figure, but what's the dollar figure, number figure, client figure that will trigger your first shift away from personal advertising, personal promotion, to more social media or more broad promotion?
If I'm understanding you correctly, and jump in if I'm off track, but I'm trying to wrap what you just presented. I find that the one-on-one, so are you asking me how I build the client? Do I use social media, or I do use this? Or are you asking me pricing?
No, what your question.
Yeah.
Second part, when it's time to shift or pivot. Okay?
Okay.
Your business plan is written. It's got targets and goals. Initially, you are all referral-based promotion.
Yes.
Okay? What in your business plan is needs to be achieved in order for you to shift or pivot to more broad promotion?
Thank you. I got it now. Need a second go on that. Okay, 2 words. Personal growth. I have to grow personally of who I am a little bit more before I step into a podcast, before I step into social media, before I build a website. That may sound odd to the standard entrepreneur who is moving a widget. Okay? I'm my widget. Okay? So in the space that I work in with people, intentionally working with them one-on-one, before I step into those other outlets for me to grow my business, there is growth requirement that I'm going through that I need to do before I step into that space. I've been in that space before, and I was a train wreck. I'm just sharing that with you from my heart. Not because the space is bad. You haven't heard me say that I think a website or social media is bad. I was a train wreck in that space. So I will re-navigate, build what I need to build within myself, so when I step into that space, I can deliver what I need to deliver.
All right, so to respect everybody's time, it's 9:58. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Let's thank Jason for his time today. So we have a lot of goodies left over, right? We're not done yet, so, but before we leave, feel free to stick around. We're going to do committee announcements. Marie, you're always our number one.
Okay, actually, the chamber is closed for today and Thursday and Friday. There are lots of activities going on, but the big one is first Friday will be in the park. Friday night, they have an entertainer that's from Vegas. There will be not a boat parade, but a little ski show put on the lake, and then the fireworks will be around 9:30. For the chamber, last week was a busy week. We had 3 ribbon cuttings in 1 week, and we're looking at a couple more. July already are scheduled. Going back to what Jason said about the connections, being able to assist with those connections is is a wonderful thing. I have a servant's heart, I always have, and when I can put people together that benefits both of them, it also benefits our community, our business community, and that's what we have going on at the chamber. It is a real family connection and not the uncle that you don't like. It is people meeting people and working with each other to achieve goals and positive outcomes. So, very excited about that.
All right, thank you. Monty, anything with LEAD and young professionals?
Thank you, Jim. If you go to the LEAD website, leadinglake.com, under the business resources tab, you'll find our event calendar, and everything business related should be populated through there. If you think it should be there, please contact us to get it there. And we have several events coming up in August, so don't miss out. And I guess on Young Professionals, we meet 4th Tuesday of every month, and we'll have a good presentation for you to take insight, even if you are an experienced professional.
Do you have a presenter lined up for July that you want to share?
It's a surprise, but we do have someone, yes.
So the same thing here, you gotta show up every week to see who's presenting. The same thing with young professionals, you gotta show up. I've been to a couple of them, and let me tell you, they brought some presenters in that just knocked it out of the park. Alan.
Hi, Alan Biles from Solar Power. Just wanted to announce that we do have Toastmasters. It's in full operation. There we go. And we are looking to increase our membership. If you don't know about what Toastmasters is, or you do, please come join us every Monday at the Chamber of Commerce building at 5:30. Use the side door. The front door is locked. Come around the side. Get there a little early if you can. And we are growing the membership. It's an opportunity for you to learn, to develop and enhance your speaking skills, your communicating skills. We're talking here today about communicating, and Toastmasters will help you with that in a very warm, just like this, a very warm, friendly environment. So again, I'm Alan Biles, Toastmasters International, 5:30 on Mondays at the Chamber Building. Thank you.
Yeah, great program. I was part of Toastmasters many years ago, and the way that they structured is done very, very well. Anyone else? Any other last announcements?
Yeah, I've got one here. Just want to say one announcement, and also Jason, thanks for the presentation. It was amazing. Thank you very much. I didn't get to speak into that, but I'll chat with you after. EustisOpenMic.com tomorrow night at Lollygaggers, just down the street. There is a comedy night, open mic. There's a string of comedians. They're all amateurs, but you can come out there and support them and have a good time if you have that hour to spare. Starts at 7:30. Thank you.
Yeah, you know when you read comments on Facebook, everybody thinks they're funny. This is their chance to prove it. You get very few of them are. Right, anything for lead you want to announce?
What's that?
Anything for lead you want to announce?
No, I think mine covered it all.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right, anything else before we close?
Giveaways.
Oh, the giveaway, send it in. Draw us a card. Make you do the slow walk across the room.
Oh, right to this. Who's picking?
Picking.
Picking second?
Deb Lewis. All right, so Kwani's not here, but this is his favorite part of every meeting. We're going to do a group picture. So if we can all gather up here in the front and give ourselves a round of applause for coming out.